Non be'adir yipol. So it says Lebanon will fall by a mighty one. The word for mighty one is the Hebrew word adir. Well, what's the name of the new Israeli F-35s that have been key in this war? They're known as the Adir.
That's amazing.
Right? And it says he'll cut down with iron. And this current Israeli operation is called Iron Swords.
Oh my
And
gosh.
now this wasn't chosen because they knew about this reference to Isaiah, because in Israel there's a computer system that generates the names of these wars that are chosen randomly. A group of generals don't come up with the names. It's generated for them. And so the rabbis see the destruction of Israel's enemies as a harbinger to the coming of the Messiah. In fact, there was an article in an Israeli newspaper that said the spirit of Messiah wafts over the skies of Lebanon and the Gazan tunnels. Now, why did they make that connection? Because it talks about Lebanon falling by the Adir in the end of Isaiah chapter 10, verse 34. The very next chapter, Isaiah 11:1, we know what it says. Then a shoot will come forth out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch will bear fruit out of his roots, and the Spirit of the Lord will rest upon him. Isaiah 11:1 is talking about the Messiah. So the fall of Lebanon, Isaiah chapter 10, is connected to the coming of the Messiah, Isaiah 11 chapter 1. This is why the rabbis in the ancient Midrash say this: why must I learn from the Arabs? Is it not an explicit verse as it is written, Lebanon will fall by a mighty one, Isaiah 10:34, and it is written immediately after, a branch will emerge out of the trunk of Jesse, a shoot from his roots, Isaiah 11:1. So based on the connection between Isaiah 10 and 11:1, Lebanon falling is directly connected to the coming of the Messiah.
I have never heard that before in my life. That is amazing. Yeah, and I love the fact that you're saying that, you know, Israel's been so beat up for so many centuries, millennia, is now they have hope. There's an unusual hope in the return of Messiah. Talk about the Temple Mount for just a minute, because these are the Temple Institute. Are they Orthodox Jews?
Yes.
Yeah. So we were there a couple of years ago, but they have everything ready. The Orthodox Jews. I mean, it seems as though they've never been this ready in 2,000 years to rebuild the temple.
Yeah. And one other thing before we jump to that, because just the numbers, so Lebanon in Hebrew, Levanon, has a numerical value of 138. The Hebrew word semach, which means branch, equals 138. Why is that important? Because one of the main names of the Messiah, Isaiah 11:1, it's a branch will come forth. There it's the word netzer. That's why he's called a Nazarene, because it's connected to a netzer, Isaiah 11:1. That's how that prophecy is fulfilled. But the synonym for netzer, branch, is the word semach. And the book of Zechariah, Jeremiah, talks about a semach, a branch. And semach is one of the names of the Messiah, according to the rabbi. Well, Lebanon equals 138. Branch, meaning the name of the Messiah, the branch that comes forth, the messianic branch, equals 138. Ben Elohim, son of God, equals 138. And Menachem equals 138. So the semach, who is the messianic branch, who is the son of God, 138, will give rest, 138, from Lebanon, 138. Geula Hagia, a redemption has arrived, equals 138. So when Lebanon falls, redemption is about to arrive. And the word Hatzlacha, which means success, triumph, prosperity, Psalm 118, Ana Adonai, Hoshiana, Lord save, Ana Adonai, Hatzlachana, Lord bring salvation. Now is what they cried, those verses at the triumphal entry, quoting Psalm 118. So all of this, even numerically, supports this idea of Lebanon connected to the Messiah, connected to redemption coming. It's even there in the numbers. Now, what you're saying, I think, is true. Whether it's the desire among the Orthodox to prepare for the temple, like, I love going to Israel. We love taking groups to Israel. God willing, we'll be back there in April leading a group. And when you go to Kikar Tzion, like when you go into the old quarter of the old city, there is a giant gold menorah, $3 million behind this glass, which they believe is going to be used in the temple. Again, the red heifer being restored. You can't have the temple without the red heifer, because you need the ashes of the red heifer to purify the individuals and the vessels from spiritual impurity so that they can even officiate in the temple. Again, training of the priests, the beginning to practice sacrifice, the creating of the garments, also the reinstitution of a modern Sanhedrin, which is ready to be in place. And why is that important? Because from a rabbinic Jewish perspective, the Messiah, if someone says the Messiah in now in Jewish thought, it has to be confirmed by the Sanhedrin. Now, so from an Orthodox Jewish, I'm not saying from a biblical perspective, from an Orthodox perspective, there's now a Sanhedrin that can do that. So yes, everything is being set up. I think even the Abraham Accords is part of that. And I think what's interesting is that in Saudi Arabia, they built this complex where there is a mosque, a church, a synagogue, and it's an Abrahamic worship center, or Abraham worship compound. See, I actually believe that could be a model for what is agreed to on the Temple Mount.
Yes, absolutely.
That they say, okay, you know what, it says in the Bible, my house will be a house of prayer of all nations. Now, we interpret it one way, but I think the way the Antichrist will come and bring peace is by twisting that verse and saying, yeah, house of all people. We'll have a temple, we'll have a mosque, we'll have a church. This is the center of Abrahamic faith. Let everyone worship their God the way they want to worship him. And they'll come to some sort of compromise on that fact. Because I don't believe that, like a lot of archaeologists believe that where the Dome of the Rock is not actually where the Holy of Holies stood. Because it doesn't line up with the Eastern Gate. So if that's the case, then, if it's not on that spot and it's on another spot on the Temple Mount, hey, build something there. There's a lot of room.
Well, Revelation 11, John says, I was given a rod to measure the temple, but not the outer court, because it's been given to the Gentiles to trample underfoot for 42 months. And so that makes sense, that there's could be a church, the Dome of the Rock, whatever. So let's go back to Lebanon for just a minute. So when you're saying the fall of Lebanon, would the fall of Hezbollah equal that, or is it the actual nation and government of Lebanon?
So again, what I want to be careful and I want to be clear about this is that I think what happens is that biblically there can be multiple mini fulfillments that are a sneak preview to the ultimate fulfillment. So I think the fall of Hezbollah and a cessation of hostility with Israel that begins to usher in a time of peace, again, is a key harbinger that redemption is on the way. It's not the ultimate fulfillment, but it is so maybe the way to look at it is like this. It's like dominoes that have to fall, right? It is some of those, it's one of those dominoes that is a key domino that has to fall that leads to the triggering of other dominoes in pretty rapid succession.
Tell your wife hi for me, and I want to get you back on, because every time you're on here, it's just fascinating. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you for being a subscriber to Tipping Point. If you're not a subscriber, go to endtimes.com right now. You can become a subscriber. But Rabbi Jason Sobel, you need to get his materials. You need to get more information about his ministry. Go to Israel with him, and maybe someday we'll go together. But God bless you. Thank you for being here today. Bye-bye.